Hello, and welcome to the Self Marriage series, in which I am interviewing people around the world about their marriage to themselves. And today I'm here with Amy Kaila in Austin, Texas. Amy, thanks so much for being here with me.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Of course. And what inspired you to marry yourself?
Well, I was inspired to marry myself kind of from the beginning of my life. I think societally we're taught as girls, I've been just kind of picturing my marriage and my fantasy wedding. Just the idea of being married for pretty much my entire life. So a lot of my life revolved around like attracting and I guess like keeping the interest of the right person, the right male specifically, due to our heteronormative society. So really, I was inspired to marry myself when I found myself kind of without any partners for the first time in a long time. And I felt this this deep like lacking or like worthiness was another thing that played a big role in relationships for me. So essentially, I just kind of posed the question to myself, because being married was such a big place in my life previously, and I had been in a marriage previously, and it was such a big part of my identity, the partner I was with or who I was with at the time. So that had always been such a big part of my personality that I thought was gone. So I just kind of posed this question myself, like what would happen if I was just like with myself and like I was totally okay with that? What would happen if I treated myself as a whole person or a whole marriage, just by myself? So that's kind of how the whole thing started for me.
And what has happened?
Well, quite a lot, honestly. I mean, like I said, I was at the end of a couple of different relationships, and I was struggling with some other like mental health issues and everything like that. So really this marriage to myself has been like a good like grounding experience for me to come back to myself and really like discover who I am like down to my core, like without any other people or me following expectations or rules or society or anything, just like marching to the beat of that own drum. Like, what does that music sound like? So
As you've gotten to know yourself as a self married woman, what has surprised you the most?
um what is surprising, I think, I guess I would say like my lightheartedness around it. I used to be a very like serious person, and now I just make jokes all the time, like, oh well, we are going to do this, or like, oh, my wife looks super hot today on the boat, doesn't she? And just like certain things like that, because it almost, is like a comedic relief, because again, in our society is so like couple centric, and so many things are just easier as a couple. So it gets a bit awkward and clunky, when you're just like by yourself in a group of twosomes, and like you're always that extra person. So I'm always just, sometimes she's like my invisible hero, and sometimes it's just like, well, I'm too much of a person to, have another person. So it's just me.
I love that. I love that. So it's like a way of framing, it's a way of bringing more play to your life. It's a way of
Mhm.
grounding in moments that would otherwise feel awkward.
Sure, because it's almost like I wouldn't give myself permission to be in those scenarios previously, right? Like, oh, I can't go to a wedding if I don't have a plus one, or I can't go on this boat with my friends if I don't have a cute guy to like sit on the arm of or whatever. When in reality, like I can go somewhere and just be myself. And in fact, my friends and my family and everyone seems to connect with me in a different way. I'm not necessarily, better or worse or anything, but just in a different way when I'm just me, and when I'm just comfortable showing up just myself.
How is it different?
I speak up for myself,
Mhm.
and I trust my own ideas. So often, even something simple like, oh, where do you want to go to eat, or where do you want to go to, hang out or anything, like I'd always be looking over to my husband or partner, like, oh well, we kind of want to do this, and right, it would never really be like what I truly want to do. If I was by myself, it would be like, oh, what satisfies the couple and the we sort of thing. So really, I just, what's one of the things that surprised me the most in this is just how quickly I'm able and just with ease to just like speak my mind and like, no, I really don't want to do that. You know, you guys have a great time, but I'm really just literally just going to sit here at home and binge watch Criminal Minds because that's what feels good to me right now, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, just like, I would almost not give myself permission to be in these different quote unquote like couple situations. But again, now I'm not only giving myself the permission to be there, but also like not feeling the obligation to be there, you know? A lot of times I feel like there's an obligation to have like a presence or, you know, just like a solid, I guess, definition in your community. And I just think people are a lot more fluid than that. So being alone just allows me to show up authentically, which is different every day based on what I'm feeling, you know? So
Yeah, and you mentioned that when you're in that space of showing up authentically, other people respond to you differently. How have you seen their reactions shift?
well, honestly, I've been getting a lot of comments from my friends lately about how, you know, because sometimes I'll make a comment about like, oh, I don't know why you guys let me on the boat or whatever. And my friend made a comment recently and they were like, I don't think you realize like how much people enjoy you being around us or whatever. And I think just when people can see my authenticity, again, it just helps them appreciate it more. And I've just felt more welcome and again, not that their reactions are different per se. I think I'm just showing up differently.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you're showing up differently and they're continuing to appreciate you. I know that's a big fear for some people as
Yeah.
they work on their self-love and work on honoring their needs and boundaries is will I still have my relationships? And
Yeah.
yes, some relationships do fall away when we start to honor our boundaries. And it
Mhm.
sounds like your story is a testimony that your real friends will stay and maybe even appreciate you even more.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful. Did you pop the question to yourself? Did you propose or no?
So no, I never like had official like proposal to myself. For me, it was never like a question. It was more something like I decided I needed to do. Um,
Wonderful. And you decided in the end to cancel the event that you were going to hold and do something by yourself. Tell us more about that decision.
Yeah, so originally I made the decision to marry myself, and it was going to be this big old ordeal, right? Like I wanted a wedding, and I was going to get a new dress and invite all my friends and everything. And it just kind of built and built and built, right? So I made this decision, and then I just started like talking with more people about it, and more questions came up and like, oh, like where are you going to host it? Who are you going to invite? Are you going to pay for drinks? You know, is this person coming? Oh, have you thought about a destination? You know, if you're doing a vacation, you might as well just do it there. And you know, like everyone had their thoughts and opinions, everything like that. And super genuine, like super lovely and everything. But it's like the more I talked about it as like this thing that was going to take place in the future, it's like the more people wanted to put in their 2 cents. And I just recall back to, you know, my previous marriage when I was married before, and there were probably about 200 people at that wedding, and I probably knew about half of them and talked to even less, you know. And so it's like the more this idea seemed to kind of like take on a mind of its own sort of thing, it just seemed to become like less about me and more about the event itself. Um so yeah, eventually like what I did is literally like one day I was talking about it as something like in the future, like, oh, I'm gonna marry myself this year and it's gonna be great, blah. And literally the next day I was like, nope, I married myself. Yep, it's a thing, like it's happened. It already, you know, it just from past tense to future tense. And
Hmm.
unfortunately there wasn't anything glitzy or shiny, or you know, I wish I could say I had a, you know, great sexual experience or, you know, a good meal or something, but honestly it was just a night and day, like just a click, just a mental shift in my mind, like, okay, now this is something that I've committed to, like the commitment was there.
What did you commit to when you married yourself?
I just committed to myself. Like the very first, I think I told you about, I would have these different like intentions that would come up from time to time. So the very first intention that I set that really kind of set all of this into motion is just I choose myself, right? Because I had all these experiences of these other people in my life not choosing me for whatever reason. And, that's fine. And we're all human beings and everything like that. But at the end of the day, people always have this great fear. And I think it's one of my greatest fears too, right? Of dying alone, right? Like nobody wants to die alone. Oh, I'm so afraid to die alone, sort of thing. But what I realized is that everyone dies alone, right? Like no matter how many lovers or children or family members, friends, or whatever, how many people you have around you, life is something that you go through completely alone. You're the only person that's present for every single little part. And you're the only one like that, goes into that light or whatever. People can only go with you so far. So that's what I committed to, right? Like just choosing myself. And again, I just felt like I lost myself in so many other relationships. So this was a way for me to come back to myself and find out who I truly am, because I'm still very young and very new on my journey and everything. So I felt like there was so much to learn out there, and I just wanted to learn it for myself.
Do you remember the moment when you decided that you were just going to marry yourself by yourself? What was that moment like? Did you just feel a sense of like, this is what I need to do? It really sounds like your intuition spoke and you listened, and I'm wondering how that showed up.
Well, it probably showed up. I was actually starting to feel a little bit of like stress and anxiety around like the day, right? And I found it, I think there was one specific night where I was trying to pick a day, right? And I've got a daughter, so I have this wonderful co-parenting relationship where I watch my daughter about half the time, and then he's got her about half the time. And so it was like, okay, well, I want to do it on a day where I don't have my daughter, but then I also maybe want to include her. And then I also want my co-parent there, but I also don't want, and it's just like, okay, well, do I want to do dinner? Do I want to do drinks? And I really like brunch better, but then it's in the morning. And then I also want to do a trip. And then I thought about doing it, and there were just so many different things like moving around, and anyone who's planned any sort of a wedding can attest. But yeah, and I just felt, like I said, more anxiety. I just felt more and more anxiety mounting about this thing in the future. And then as soon as that like shifted in me, just like immediate peace and calm and almost like intentionality now, because it's really easy to talk about something that's really fluffy in the future, either in the past or the present, and it's something that's just not as concrete, rather than the biggest thing about this for me was just like presence with myself, like being comfortable being by myself, being present in the present moment, no matter who I'm with or where I am or anything. Like I'm always me and I'm always by myself. So, and just like finding comfort in that. So yeah, as soon as I kind of let go of, I guess, all the expectations that me and other people were putting on this date or on this concept or whatever, as soon as I did, yeah, all of that kind of just like calmed down, just like the sea. And I was able to really look forward into what I wanted this marriage to actually mean for me, instead of what I wanted a day to look like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was an internal shift that had you know it was right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And doing it for the right reasons too, right? Like I'm not marrying myself to show off to all my friends about how, grand it is to be single or anything like that. It really is a deeply personal, like, part of my journey. So part of me, when I thought about marrying myself in front of other people, it almost didn't feel integrous, like it felt almost contradictory to what I was trying to accomplish. And I love all my family members and my friends so much, and I would have loved to have them present. But again, I felt like it was something I needed to do alone, and I'm glad I did.
Mm. So, will you have a honeymoon?
Oh, fuck yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah. At first, I was planning this trip to Mexico, to Riviera Maya. And so that was a whole other thing too, is it was going to be like about a $6,000 trip. So there was a whole like financial piece to it. And then when I was going to do the marriage ceremony there, again, like the financial piece would have almost like overshadowed the whole idea of like why I'm doing this whole thing, right? So yeah, I'm very glad that the marriage solidifying kind of acted separately from that, because a trip or a honeymoon is definitely just something that I want to enjoy completely by myself, already married. So yeah, anyway, I was planning this trip to Mexico, and of course, like COVID happened and everything like that. So I'm not exactly sure like when I'll make it out, but definitely need to do that for sure.
When you go, what do you think your top intentions will be for that honeymoon?
I would just say enjoying myself. Honestly, every expensive trip that I've ever gone on, I've gone on with a partner. And honestly, most of the money, I would venture to say most of the money that I've spent in my life, like significant amounts of money, whether it be eating out or anything like that, a lot of things I do with partners, because almost as a society, it's like, things aren't justified if someone's not there, like to see them, right? Um, versus like with this trip, I really do want to go and spend like 5-10 grand and have it be just me, and heck, maybe I'll even leave my phone at home and have no way to take pictures, and it'll all just be up here, something truly truly just for myself. Um so I don't know, if I had to guess, it'll probably just be around like presence. Yeah, just being present for the experience and just this wonderful universe that we have to enjoy.
How do you think you'll commemorate your special day moving forward? An anniversary, something else?
Um, well, again, like I don't have a specific day. I do have the ring that I had made for myself, and that arrived to me sometime in May of this year.
Can we see it?
So, oh yes, yes. So this is it's a Burmese
Lovely.
peridot in the center there. It's the finest peridot you can buy on the planet. I should have washed it before showing up. But anyway, but yeah, that was a cool thing for me because so when I made the decision that I was going to marry myself, I knew I wanted a ring to kind of symbolize that marriage and also kind of stave off all of the, unpleasant guys that I don't want hitting on me. And so I, of course, did a lot of online shopping to try to, find something. And I found something that I really, really loved. But then when I thought more about it, I just kind of had like this minimalism thing. I had just discovered the minimalist at the time, and I didn't want to like use extra time and resources that I didn't have to. And I also didn't want to support some unknown business and some unknown, country, whatever. So basically, long story short, I took my old wedding ring. I had a wedding ring from before this, gorgeous, beautiful, everything that I loved. And in great shape. And I actually loved it so much, I continued to wear it even after my marriage had ended because I just loved it so much. So basically, I took that wedding ring to a local jeweler here in Austin, Texas, described him this whole thing about me marrying myself and how cool it was going to be. And he loved my story so much, he did it for free. So I'm so proud.
Oh my
But
God.
basically, yeah. So basically what happened was he took the wedding band off that came from my other marriage, leaving just the single band, and then took the diamond stone out, and then he kept that like his payment, and then he got me this beautiful Burmese peridot, custom cut to fit in the same thing. So it was just a really lovely kind of an homage to like past, present, and future, right? And like no need to go and buy something new. And it's a great kind of symbol to self-love, right? Like you don't need to start as this fresh new person. We're all just like messy human beings, right? And we don't need to fix ourselves. We just every day we're improving and changing to our needs and everything like that. So I just thought the whole thing was like a good kind of symbol to what was happening with my self marriage too. So yeah, that's kind of how I commemorate it, like on a daily basis. I just love looking at my ring and yeah, just enjoying something pretty that I got just for myself.
Hmm. What would you say to others who are considering self-marriage?
Oh gosh. You know, I think I would say like there's as many different ways to be a human being as there are human beings on the planet. And there is many different ways to be in relationships as there are relationships on the planet, whether it's a relationship with yourself, coworker, family, lovers, whatever. So just like with that same concept, there are an infinite number of ways that you can be married to yourself. So I guess what I would say is just that. It's just like there's no right way. Like there's just your way. And just like being married to yourself is just about like listening to yourself and trying to do what resonates to you. You know, like somebody else who marries themselves is probably going to have a completely different experience than I do. And, you know, you're probably finding that in your interviews for sure. So that's what makes the human experience so beautiful, right? Is that everyone, even in the most similar experiences, everyone can have a whole variety of different tastes within there. So
Mm.
yeah, just like kind of just making it your own, and yeah, listening to your own intentions and trying to find your voice. Your voice is a huge thing. I've really discovered my voice in the very short time since I've married myself, and it's been pretty cool. She's a cool person in there. So
Well, thank you so much, Amy, for being with us and sharing all about your special day. It's been a total honor to talk to you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for your time.